Yo, what's going on, guys? My name's Dylan,
And I'm Ryan, and we're two dudes gaming.
and we're gonna start off our first video here making a early Season 1 The Burning Crusade Arena tier list.
So,
So,
which class do you want to start off with?
well, we'll just do it in the order we got it right here. Start off with the Druid. We're gonna do DPS only first. That way we can separate things like Shadow Priest and Disc Priest and Ret and the Holy and all of that nonsense.
So, why don't we start with balance since it's B?
I guess we'll start with Balanced Druid. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of Balanced Druid. I've seen the Dream State Druid spec, which they do take the Moon Conform. It's played more as a healer, I believe, but it does have, some damage tied to it.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times on our 2v2 games. I wouldn't say that it's, an A tier or S tier. I would say, yeah, it belongs probably in the B tier.
See,
I don't know what your
it
thoughts
kind of
are.
depends on which way you're looking at it. If we're doing DPS right now, so if you're just talking about balanced DPS, yeah, I'd say maybe something like B tier. I mean, I've seen the Dream State Druid, and I think they're really good, and they could potentially be playing around in the S tier or A tier at least. But if we're talking about
But that's if they're trying to play as a
if we're
healer, but
talking
with a
about
DPS, yeah.
DPS, yeah, I'm gonna say B tier. I mean, I almost just would say we don't have enough info on it.
I would say that too, yeah. No,
But
info for sure.
let's talk about just Druid DPS in general and not just balance. And so you've got Feral as well.
Okay.
So if we're looking at Feral as well, I don't know how much Feral you've seen. I know
I've seen a little bit, nothing crazy.
I've played with a few when I wasn't playing with you, and I've played against a few as well. And I've seen some really good ones. And I've seen some just get blown up at the start of the game. But I would
I don't think
say
they're anywhere near S tier though.
I think the Feral itself, if, decently geared, nobody's going to be crazy geared early on or have crazy resilience. I think it was pretty good. I'd say Feral could be A tier, at least.
Yeah.
I've seen them absolutely shred certain classes. I'm sure they're really hard to deal with for mages. They could just shift out of all your roots.
Can't get polyed.
I mean, I think it could
I
be
mean,
a
and they do
really.
have the off heals. They
I
do have the off
think
heals.
I could be wrong about this, obviously, but I think early on, is maybe when Feral shines. But yeah, I think their burst was really strong. I'd say, Druid, maybe give it about an A tier. What do you think?
Okay, if we're talking about all DPS specs, then yeah, I would say A tier because they do have a lot of versatility that they do bring to the
Yeah, they've got
PvT
talents
comp, right?
that I can't remember if it shifts its agility or its attack power. One of those is like a third of it goes towards bonus healing, so that they can actually pump out a decent amount of heals when they pop out of form too. So
Mm-hmm.
it just depends. If we're including
Well,
Balanced Druid in here, you might just go ahead and put it on B. But with Feral, I think that you could go ahead and just
oh
easily
yeah,
put it
dude.
in
Like
A
think about it, they
tier.
got the clone and everything, right? I would, yeah, definitely A tier. They got a lot that they actually do bring to the table.
Yeah. So we're keeping in mind here, we're talking about very early Season 1, before everybody has their Conquest gear. This is what we've kind of been seeing on the beta, because nobody has a full set of
Yeah,
gear.
pretty
We're
much
just working with
your
what
full
they're
blues.
yeah,
Pretty
we're
much.
working with what they're giving us. So yeah, I'd say A tier is pretty good for the Druid.
Okay.
So if we're moving on to Hunter next, I've seen a little bit of. I'm not sure, to be honest, if it was survival, marksman, or just a mix of the two. But I've seen one team playing that with a Resto Druid, and they were absolutely horrible to play against because they just ran around the pillar for the entire game, and
Oh yeah.
you could just never touch them. And if I'm basing it off just that one team, I'd say these motherfuckers are S tier. But they're the only people I've seen playing it. We played against one other one, which we absolutely just destroyed. So I'm not going to base it off that game. I'd say early on, Beast Mastery is great, though.
Oh yeah, well they have the immunity to the stuns, incapacitates
Yeah,
when they're doing bestial wrath.
it's insane. I mean, they're just pretty much immune to CC, and they're just pumping. And if we're talking early
I
on, I mean, it makes
I
me
would
want
say
to put
S
them,
tier
yeah, S
for
tier. Like,
sure.
I don't think they're
Early
going to
on.
be amazing later on, but you're talking about early on, they're hard to deal with. And I think if you put
And
them
they're
with
good enough, dude. They're landing traps.
yeah, I think if you put them with another DPS, it's just extremely difficult to deal with. Now we're not playing with a healer. Maybe that changes things because once that bestial wrath is down, I think that they're probably going to fall off a bit. But if we're talking
For
really
sure.
quick games, early season one, I mean, I almost want to put them S tier. I'd consider A tier when you think about playing with a healer. That's something we haven't done a whole lot of. And that
True.
kind of makes me think maybe like A tier. What are you thinking? Playing
I think we
against
should leave them
us,
at S tier.
playing
S
against
tier.
us, they've been S tier. They've been really, really hard to deal with. We can't CC, and we've been playing a lot of Rogue Mage. We've played a lot of other comps too, but that's something that right now I think they're going to be really strong. I think Gear,
Especially early on.
yeah,
I think
Gear will
early
kind of
on, yeah.
outscale them, and maybe that doesn't stick. But I think just because of Beast Mastery, I think that's fair.
Yep, for sure it is.
All right. So moving on to the Mage, I just want to go ahead and say that's definitely
Yeah.
S tier. I want to
Oh, for
put it
sure
in
it
front
is.
of the Hunter even. Frost is
Or
great.
fire.
Fire Palm Pyro is pretty amazing early on. If you put two Palm Pyro mages together, how does anything live? I mean, one person's
Doesn't.
gonna die.
Yeah.
So
It's they just blow things up, right? And then like let's say like a mage, right? If you're a warrior or a rogue, and let's say you get close, let's say you stun it as a rogue, right? It blinks, shadow step, and it just roots you, right? No matter what, it's so hard to stick to a mage.
yeah,
As any melee, like they're just a nightmare to play against, right?
other than maybe that Feral Druid, but you're
Exactly.
not gonna see a ton of them. I
No.
don't think you will, at least.
But
But
yeah,
I
there's not
think the
much to say
mage,
about mage.
I
Like
think the
honestly,
mage is great. Frost,
great CC.
Frost is amazing. Palm Pyro, I think, could be a really good spec early on. I mean, you can get crits on your Pyro for like 5K. People have like 7K health, maybe 8K. I mean, 5K plus you have to think if you use your counter spell, it's a blanket 4-second silence. So let's say you silence somebody, sling your Pyroblast, and a Fire Blast right after it. You're going to have the burn effect going on them after that they can't dispel or heal through because they're blanket silence. You can't trinket a silence in the Burning Crusade.
No.
I just don't see how you can live through that in early season one of TBC. Especially if you, I mean,
Yeah, without
if
the
you
resilience, yeah.
just put two of them on a team together. But if you're even when you're not talking about Palm Pyro, Frost is absolutely insane. The water elemental is insane. Just being able to get shatters off on people is absolutely crazy. I've been loving it. And yeah, I'd say easy S tier right there.
Oh, easy S tier.
So now we're going to move on to the Ret Paladin. I'm going to say easy. Maybe B tier. Maybe even not enough info.
I was
but
gonna
I'd
say
say
not
B
enough
tier.
info because I've only played against I think one.
I've played
maybe
against
two.
them. I've beaten some easily, and then I've played against some where they do have a healer, and they do pretty well. I've seen the video of Esfand playing with Sea-Doo. I mean, with a Resto Shaman, Ret Paladin I think can be really good. They bring some of the things that Shaman doesn't have, and Shaman brings some of the things that Ret doesn't have to kind of balance out both specs or both classes. You've got a magic dispel as a DPS as the Ret Paladin, whereas
Bubble,
you
bop.
don't have a kick, but if you bring a Shaman, the Shaman has the kick, and the Ret has the dispel, so it kind of balances each other out a lot. and I think that it could definitely be a strong comp. But if you're not playing with the resto shaman, I'm not sure how high you're gonna go or how well they're gonna be. But I'd say B tier.
It all matters on like people's skill levels, right? Like, 'cause if you have somebody who's just jumping into WoW because they hear like TBC is the next cool big thing, right? Of course, you're not probably not gonna climb as high as somebody that say
It's gonna
who's
be a lot
a
more
master at a
difficult.
class, right?
Yeah,
100%.
it's gonna be
And
a
it's
lot
not
more
gonna
difficult as the
it's not gonna
paladin.
be like how TBC was back in the day, because now you got the people with the multi-button mouses and people that just
Oh
know
yeah,
more about the game, right? Like
everybody's gonna
people
be
back in the
better.
day used to click their spells. There's so many people I've talked to that have just clicked their spells for so long, and now everything's macroed, right?
Hell, we still
So
know one person who clicks his spells to this day.
that is true.
All right, so I'd say that's pretty fair. B tier for the paladin.
Sure.
All right. Well, Shadow Priest.
I would say A tier. I think they're good, but I think they gotta play the right
Yeah,
comp.
it's almost the same thing to me as the paladin, though. It's I would like to say they're better than the paladin. They can play with more things, and if we're talking, we're not basing this only off 2v2. That's just what we have played the most. There's not a whole lot of threes going on right now in the beta. Some people are doing war games and all of that, and so there are threes going on, but it's just a lot easier to just hop into twos. But I know there's a lot of really good threes comps that involve Shadow Priest. There's Shadow Priest Mage, Resto Shaman, I believe. You could probably play with a Resto Druid as well. Shadow Priest, Warlock, Affliction Lock, Resto Shaman, and I think Shadow Priest Rogue could work as well. I know it can in twos. It's a really good comp in twos, but it just
Hmm.
depends. Shadow Priest is really squishy. If you have a rogue on you or a warrior on you, it's not fun to play. But if you're able to get off a big mind blast into a Shadow Word Death, that's a lot of damage, especially right now when people don't have a lot of resilience. Most people have like around 150 resilience if they're stacking all of the PvP gear that they can right now. I think Shadow Priest is really fun to play, and I'd say B tier is pretty fair. And they could
Well, you have it in
potentially
A
go
tier.
up. They could potentially even go up. I don't think they'd be S tier, but they could. The comps that they play in could potentially be up there and be better. It's definitely, I'd say, a safer play than the Ret Paladin for
Oh,
arenas
for
at
sure.
least.
I think it's probably a little bit harder as you're a caster, but I definitely feel like it is better.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
let's
Moving
move
on to
on to
the
the
rogue.
Rogue. That's, we got to just put that right behind the Paladin just to break all these rogue egos out there.
I was gonna say I might be in the wrong
Actually, it
tier
kind of
list
just
here.
lifts them up, dude. But no, I'd say it's absolute best spec, best DPS spec in the game.
So much control, right? And then like so much defensives too, right? Like you got your double evasion, you got your double vanish. You have the shadow step. It's a little bit different from in live, right? Because in live you can shadow step to a friendly target too, but in TBC it's only to the enemy target. Um, I've been playing I've been playing mostly Rogue on the beta. Rogue's fun. It does pretty good damage. Like you're not hitting somebody for like 5k like a Major Shatter or whatever, Palm Pyro. But it is definitely still
But hey,
pumping, and just the lockdown effect,
a
right?
10-second stun lock is pretty nice.
Well, yeah, especially with Kidney not being on the same DR as any other stun, right?
Yeah. It definitely isn't for cheap shot. I don't think it is for any other stun. I know we were talking about that yesterday. I can't say for 100% certainty, but
You can make
I feel like all stuns share a DR other than like just kidney. But again, I could
I
be
think
wrong
that
on that.
I think that is how it works. Like you can make such big plays though with Rogue. Like honestly, if you get a blind on a healer and then if you're able to get stealth right as they trinket, you can sap them, and they pretty much just wait to their trinket.
Oh yeah, I mean it's you can just do crazy plays as rogue. If you watch like people like Snuts or Mir playing, I mean it's insane.
And they're fun to watch too, right?
Oh yeah,
It's a neat class, right?
that's the most fun thing to me about TVC Arena is the games are really quick and it's just like when you mess up, you're punished for it.
100% sure.
It's
Which is
it's
good though,
really
right? Because it
hard.
makes you need to learn, right?
It's really
You got to
hard to
learn at a
turn a
higher.
game around if you're the rogue that got sapped out of stealth, by the other rogue. It's like you pretty much lose. I
Yeah,
mean,
unless your partner can really help you out.
yeah, it takes a lot though because you're gonna have to use your vanish first, most likely,
Mhm.
and just put you behind. But yeah, I'd say rogue definitely best DPS spec in the game so far, in my opinion. They're the most troublesome to deal
For
with
most classes,
right
for
now.
sure. Yeah.
Now, there is one more that we'll get to, obviously, that is a little different right now playing on the beta, but we'll get to that in a little
I think I know
while.
what you're talking about.
So, the Shaman. I haven't seen much. I've played with one enhanced Shaman, and I may have played against, one enhanced Shaman or something, and I don't feel like they're very good. I mean, I just don't. I
So
don't think that they're
I've
very good.
played I've played with one or two, and I've played against a few, like of course when you're not online, and it's really weird. It's almost like you're rolling a dice, right? Like
See,
let's say if they get a win for your proc off, and let's say I'm playing rogue right now, I don't have evasion up, I am getting chunked or I'm dead,
yeah. Well, see,
right?
I think the beta would be a lot better if they gave the Shaman Storm Herald or Deep Thunder or whatever to mess with, so people could at least try the two-handed spec. But right now, they don't
Hmm.
have a two-hander to even test with. Unless potentially you go do heroics and there's a two-hander that they can use there somewhere. I don't know, but they don't have anything to really test, so it's only dual wield. And I just haven't seen them do much. I mean, maybe you've caught the wrong end of the,
Roll the dice.
yeah, and you've gotten hit
But
a
then
little bit, but I
there,
would say
there's been
they're,
other times though that they haven't done. It seems like they haven't done anything to me, and it
yeah,
feels like it's like, are they playing heal spec or are they playing
yeah. Now I
enhancement, right?
think that they could potentially be good in a comp like Turbo, with a warrior and
Yep.
whatever healer they decide. I mean, I would think you would almost always just go Resto Druid, but um, maybe other specs work as well. Or actually, well, no, yeah. So they could potentially be good there. I don't think we have enough info on that one, and so I would just say not enough info. When we're talking about
Sure.
elemental, I haven't even seen an elemental on the
Neither have I.
beta. So I'm gonna say not enough info, but if I had to guess, I would say B tier, and I might even put it below the Paladin. But again, I think there are comps like Turbo that could actually be pretty decent.
Mhm.
But since then, I'd say not enough info. Now we're coming to the Warlock. The Warlock is amazing, and I
SLS.
I think SLSL is amazing. The other specs maybe can be good. I know Affliction, like full Affliction, can be good with a Shadow Priest, um, but I don't think you'd want to play that early season one. I think SLSL, which is Soul Link and Siphon Life, adds too much survivability to really play much else right
It's pretty much
now.
like having a small healer on your team in a
Oh
twos,
yeah,
right?
I
You're pretty
mean
much playing like two and a half
receive
people versus two.
you receive a lot of heals unless you have Mortal Strike built up on you from the rogue or either from a warrior.
Or
But I would say I think they're the second best right behind rogue, potentially kind of competing with mage, but I feel like with a
I would say they're a little
healer,
bit better with mage.
I think with a healer, it's just like Affliction Lock is almost unbeatable. That's just
Mhm.
what makes me think above the mage. The mage can still run out of mana. The Affliction Lock is much like tankier and can life tap, and
Yep.
so the mana is not a weakness for them really. And so I think that I mean you could even argue it could be above the rogue, especially with a healer. But I think the rogue just has so many more options that you just have to put rogue as number one.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people are really going to question our Hunter up here in S tier, but I think we've kind of explained why we think
Well,
that, so I'm not gonna
it's
worry
like
about that anymore.
it's before really the first season starts to get going, right? Like as soon as you're pretty much you cap level, season opens, the people are jumping in. This
Yeah.
is what the list is, right? It's not
Yep.
like this is list with everyone's fully jammed, full conquest gear. This is pretty much early on, especially what we're just experiencing on the beta.
Oh yeah, for sure. So now we come to the warrior, and the warrior is a little difficult for me to judge right now because they gave every warrior Storm Herald. They quickly reduced that down to Deep Thunder, which, if nobody knows, those are the blacksmithing maces that you can create. And with those maces, even the Deep Thunder, I find them to be they should be up here. There should be another tier, and they should just be the gods of right now. With a healer, that is. But even Double Warrior, I have absolutely smashed people. Double Warrior should not be that good of a comp, and I feel like it's like the best comp right now. Not
So
really.
we should put not enough info, right?
I don't know. I think that I played it without the Storm Herald. I've played it with the Storm Herald, and I've played it with just Deep Thunder. With
Playing
Storm
against them,
Herald,
I would say that they're A tier for sure. Like they don't have good heals, but they
no.
do.
If
They
you're
do
talking
chunk.
about Warrior with a Resto Druid or Warrior with a Priest or something, and Storm Herald or Deep Thunder, I think Warrior might just be right there. The best class. But if we're talking about early TBC Season 1, most Warriors probably don't have that weapon. I think they're still probably S tier, maybe above Hunter. With a healer, I don't know. I want to put it right there. But
I think it belongs right there.
At the same time, it makes me want to put that right there. Because I do feel like that they can be better than Hunter. But I don't know. It's hard to say. With a healer, I think, and we're playing double DPS, I think they're better than Hunter. But if we had a healer as well, I don't know which one of these two I would think is better. It's really hard to say. It's just...
Hunter's going to be really good while he's got Beast or Wrath. But after
against double
DPS,
not. Hunter is the better one. It's the better one. If you have a healer on your team, I think Warrior's definitely better. And so I don't think it really matters at this point whether we put Hunter here and Warrior here, or Warrior here and Hunter here. I think that's the order. I think Warrior is going to be better than Hunter. Mm-hmm. Warrior scales so well with gear. They're just going to keep getting better. And it makes me want to put them here. Because if you don't have the blacksmithing weapon...
That's what I mean. That's why I think they should belong in A tier.
You're about A tier. I mean, if you're playing with another DPS, you're not going to have a fun time. You might as well be back down here. I mean, potentially a rogue or a feral or something that can kind of help you out with stuns, keeping you on a target, as well as like a feral, maybe having a little bit of heals or something could potentially help you out as a double DPS. But I don't think there's really any double DPS comps you could play as Warrior that are going to help you out that much, and so I say you just put them in A tier because they don't have a lot of flexibility. But at the same time, I don't know. We'll leave it as is. That's kind of what we've seen so far on the beta.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said, with the Storm Herald and Deep Thunder, I think they're right there.
Oh, yeah.
So let's not forget that.
But if any of you guys are planning on playing, let's say, like a Paladin or a Shaman, don't just assume to not play it because this is where we put it on our tier list, right? Like, play whatever you want to play. Play what you think is going to be absolutely fun. And prove us wrong, right? Play a Paladin and then send us a picture or a clip of you just wrecking people in arenas, right?
And like we said, too, I think a Ret Paladin can be really good with a Resto Shaman. The only reason I put it in B tier, like if we were ranking comps, they might be A tier. Potentially the back of S tier.
We can always do another.
We're talking about early. You can't judge it off one comp, and so that's why I don't want to do that. Otherwise, it'd be different. But we're not doing a comp tier list. I think if you're just going in as a Paladin and you don't have a Resto Shaman buddy, expect it to at least be a little difficult for you to be pushing rating as compared to some of these classes up here. Again, I think Hunter falls off the later the seasons go, but early on, that Beast Mastery spec is really good in my opinion. So I'd say that's the list for DPS. We can do healers afterwards, but
Yeah, do you want to make another video for healers, or do you want to do one right now?
Uh,
I say we
well,
make another video.
okay. We'll pause it here
Hey,
and
hold on. I just want to mention one quick thing to you
wait.
guys.
I don't. Let's go ahead and just do the. Let's go ahead and do the healers. It's not going
Okay.
to take long. There's only what 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
I'm
don't
in.
need to drag that into another video. Let's go ahead and do it. So let's
Yeah.
reset. Oops. All right. So move all the healers to the front, and we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right, I guess we're starting Paladin first. Okay, we have an extra tier here. Oh well, I'm gonna just say Paladin, dude. I think they're C tier. I think they're the worst healer in
For sure they are.
arenas. They have to cast everything other than Holy Shock, and Holy Shock has a cooldown attached to it, so you
Yeah,
don't
no, I
see a
honestly
whole
think
lot
you're
of
right.
them. And I just don't personally think that they're going to be that great. I think that they can do okay. Again, like, you can have comps that are going to work better. With a warrior, potentially, it could be a decent comp.
The way I see a holy pally is like, okay, let's say you're gonna pick up a holy pally, but why? You could pick up any of the other healers. Do you know what I mean? Like they can be
Exactly.
good, but they're just
I
not
think I think
the
a holy
best.
paladin in 5s would be a decent. Maybe you even put them on A tier or something. But we're talking about just. I think they're the worst of the healers. We have 4 spots here. We might as well just put S, A, B, and then C. And
Yep,
if that's the case, they're the C. I mean, they just are, in my opinion.
yep.
So,
D, right, for druid.
I guess we're doing the druid, and in my opinion, that's the S.
Oh, 100% they are.
They have so many instant cast heals. They have so much CC with roots and cyclones. They have
Pretty.
the ability to shift into bear form and tank a lot of damage, as well as shift into any of their forms to not be able to be sheeped or
Yep.
sapped. They just
They're
so
a big
well
nightmare
rounded.
for rogues with their fairy
They
fire,
have fairy
moon
fire.
fire. Like there's a lot that, and like think about it, they got the cyclone, right? They also start off the game in stealth, so unless you're lucky or you're human and you happen to find them, then you pretty much, let's say if when we're playing rogue mage, right? It's pretty much the mage tries to, take on the other DPS until the druid comes out, and then the rogue can start on the druid. But they're just by far the greatest healer. Like they're a higher
I've
skill cap for sure,
I haven't
but they're
seen
definitely.
anything, that's been as hard to deal with as the druid. You just can't slow them. You just can't root them. Now, if you get on them as certain classes, like I'd say rogues and warriors
We can
might not have
connect.
as bad of a time just because, well, warrior, you can't stun them as long, but you can hit them really hard. And just if you can stick to them, it's
If
okay.
you
Maybe
if
if
you
you
can get
get
them stunned out of form too.
if you can get an intervene out of form, 3 seconds for you to just get one, maybe like one auto attack, and then maybe a mortal strike on them, and if you get crits, lucky on that, you can crush them. But everything else, I mean, you can root the warrior with, you can just do so much. Against a
Yep.
rogue, it's the same thing. If you can get them stunned out of stealth, you can kind of blow them up in certain instances, or at least draw big cooldowns. But other than that, I mean, there's not a whole lot you have to say about the druid. It's the best healer, in my
By far.
opinion, and I just don't see much else. Now, again, we are talking about early season 1. They might not be quite as good because I think double DPS will be really popular season 1. But I still think out of everything, they're going to be the best healer. I mean, honestly, it makes the Paladin seem a little more appealing early season 1 just because of the immunities, but you still have to be able to cast at the end of the day, and I think that's where they fall. So,
Mhm.
Priest, I think that'd be the A tier. What do you think?
Oh, 100% it's the A tier.
I think that they're almost up there with the Druid, but if we were ranking it on a list like this where it was just S, A, and B, I'd say they're on the S tier with the Druid. But since we're using all four to just kind of judge them, I think they do have distinct like strengths over one another, and I think the priest falls slightly below the druid, but I
And they
think they're very good. But the thing is you can other healers with mana burn.
That's
You
true.
can mana burn DPS like mages, warlocks, shadow priests, hunters. I mean, you can just do a lot with the priest. They have pain suppression, power infusion. The thing is, the priest can be a lot more offensive than the druid. The druid is really defensive. It has some offense too, but as far as the priest goes, like they seem a lot more offensive. You can dispel magic off your teammates as well as purge it off of the enemies, which is
Mhm.
really strong. If you're playing with, let's say, a rogue, the rogue saps a mage, well, just start purging him. It's not going to pop him out of the sap, and you get all his buffs off, unless his other partner is on top of you, kind of whooping your ass all of a sudden. But I think the
True.
priest is really strong, and in my opinion, would probably be the most fun healer if I had to pick one of these guys to play. But after that, you got the shaman. It's obviously going in the B tier. I think it's slightly better than the Holy Paladin just because of comps like Ret Arsham, maybe Warrior Arsham. Just having Wind Fury is huge, as well as having offensive dispels, as well as what am I forgetting? I feel like there's something else that makes them strong, but you have Grounding Totem. That's pretty good. Uh,
Ghost Wolf.
Ghost Wolf to kind of run away from people isn't too bad. But the problem with them, too, is you have to cast a lot. It's really hard to get a cast off in Arena when the games are so quick. Unless you have a partner who can peel for you exceptionally well, it's really hard to get a cast off. They're good in comps like Shadow Priest Warlock, where, okay, well, if you just want to train the Shaman, well, the Shadow Priest can pop out and start helping with heals. Um, things like that can be helpful. That's another thing that makes Resto Shaman good. But I just don't think that they can compete with the two healers above them. I feel like the two healers above them can slot into any comp that Resto Shaman plays and be as good or better. Maybe other than, comps like the Shadow Priest Warlock or Frost or Mage Warlock, Mage Shadow Priest, and the Ret um, Arsham.
For sure. Yep.
They have Bloodlust. You can use Bloodlust in Arena though. That's
I
pretty
know, which is
awesome.
nuts.
That's pretty awesome. And I think that kind of helps out some of those classes, and that's why it fits in well with the comps. But
For sure.
that's
I think
about
I
all
think
I
we
have
pretty
to
much.
say about the healers. You really only see these two. Every now and then you see a shaman, or every now and then you see an H-Pal, but it's these two that you're going to see, and you really can't go wrong with either of them. I mean, the list probably goes like that, you know?
For sure.
But
Yeah.
these are the two strongest healers. It's probably going to be like that for the entirety of the Burning Crusade. But definitely in Season 1, if you're playing a healer, these are the two you want to play. These can be fit into comps if you have friends that you can really fit in with, like Ret Pally Arsham or Arsham Warrior, maybe Holy Paladin Warrior, something like that. Maybe Holy Paladin Shadow Priest or something. I don't know. There's certain things that can work, but these are definitely the strongest too. But I think that's pretty much it for what I have to
Yeah.
say about this list.
And
So.
hey, if you guys disagree with anything in the video, leave a comment below. Tell us how we're wrong, right? Like we would love to hear feedback. Also wanted to say, us personally are doing a little thing just to help get our YouTube channel started and just start building a little community. So for the first 100 subscribers, as soon as we hit 100 subscribers, we'll be giving away either a Corsair keyboard or a Razer keyboard. Just kind of see what happens. And happening is what is happening at the time. So feel free to subscribe if you do, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and We'll
Or
be
just like
posting
it,
more
even if
videos
you
in the field.
disliked it. Just like it anyways, because that'd really
You
help
could
us
just
out.
you could just like it anyways. That would be perfect. As of right now, we are playing the beta mostly, but we will be playing other games. Like
We
if you
do
wanted to
be.
see some Rocket League or anything else, let us know. But I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yep. Take it easy. Appreciate it, guys.